Hey, Sassy Stuff, what's up? My name is Molly and I'm here with Emma today. We're going to be talking about the ACC and the playoffs. A little confusing. We're going to have Emma explain it a little bit. What's up, Emma?
So, the ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips has proposed a new format that could really alter how teams qualify for the college football playoffs. There has been major debate on maintaining the importance of conference championship games while maximizing the number of teams in the playoff. We saw that this year with SMU and Bama. They were like, you can't fault SMU for losing their conference championship game, but a lot of people said, yes, Alabama was probably the better team here. So, what he is proposing is that you have your regular season champion of all of the conferences, maybe just the ACC for now, though, get that automatic bid. And then you would have, in this instant of this past year, Clemson and Miami, the second and third best team, play in that conference championship game. And whoever wins that gets something better on their resume to potentially make it to the playoffs. Helps them out a little bit. Maybe if Miami would have beat Clemson, they would have been in the playoffs this year with SMU. So this is an unusual way of doing it. How do you feel about this proposal?
I should have opened with ACC and playoffs don't really belong in the same sentence, really. But I will say, I think his idea of this is just guaranteeing his conference a lot more spots, when in reality, you've got really big conferences like the SEC, like the Big Ten, and even Pac 12. We're looking at conferences that are just genuinely better than the ACC. So I don't see a future for that. I don't like his idea, if I'm being honest. I think um, what we have going, I think guaranteeing certain teams into those slots right now is working. Do I think it should be a little bit broader? Maybe. I think you and Bailey kind of touched on this on episode 12 teams doesn't quite make sense. I do think it should be broadened a little bit to maybe 16 teams. Just because there were a few teams that I felt like did deserve a playoff spot. Bama may have been one of those. I don't know. Still figuring that one out. But yeah, his idea doesn't really add up. It really only benefits him. It doesn't benefit anybody else. It benefits his conference only.
Yeah, I am looking at his idea, and here's the thing. The ACC this past year may have been the weakest conference. I cannot say for sure. We will never know because not all of these teams play each other. You can go to the Premier League of football, so soccer for American, and they all have to play a home and away with every team, but they're able to do that. So you do know who the best team is, but we can't say this conference for sure is better than another, but on the outside, it does look like the ACC may have been lacking this year. Next year, I have bright hopes for them. I think with Clemson, Cade Klubnik, we also have Carson Beck coming with Miami. Haynes King is staying at Georgia Tech. SMU has a sensational boosters, and I really don't think that team has fallen apart with the transfer portal or anything like that. So I think this could be a very competitive conference next year, but this year it just wasn't that. But you look at conferences like the Big Ten and the SEC, who were able to get 4 and 3 teams in, respectively, potentially 4-4. If Bama would have made it in for the SEC. So I think you can't do this because every year it's just not going to work out in a way. He also flipped another option of having a top 4 teams in conference kind of playing in a mini tournament with the first and fourth place team and the second and third place team going through, and then the winners play in the conference championship. He really is emphasizing this conference championship game, which I'm happy about because that is tradition. That is important. I know Notre Dame doesn't participate in that, but that is a whole other conversation. But I just don't think these are the solutions. Right now, we do have a 12-team playoff. I think it will move to 14 or 16 after next year. I think no matter what you do, somebody's going to be unhappy. Do I think how they select these teams has to change? Of course. I don't think it should be solely based on record. Indiana maybe shouldn't have been in there. They lost one game, but they only played one team with a winning record. You should maybe value strength of schedule a little bit more, value the teams that you beat. Who did they beat and by how much to really determine who the 12 best or 14 best or 16 best are. I don't think that this is the answer, but I understand why he's doing it because he was worried about SMU.
Well, and even, when we're looking at the future, things like Premier Soccer, Premier League, they play kind of like basketball. They play multiple games a week, so that's just not doable for football. It's not doable. It would be like committing like football suicide. It just doesn't work. So I think right now the way that, yes, like you just said, I think it does need to change. I think it should broaden. It should broaden to 14, maybe 16. I think 16 teams. I think that adds 2 extra games. That's all it adds to the entire schedule. I don't think that's too crazy. Um, I'm okay actually also with football lasting another week if I needed to. And that's okay for me.
We want more football.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think these boys would either. I think these boys would love to play another week. I don't think, yeah, it's exhausting, and by the end of the season I think a lot of people are tired, but adding an extra week in there, I don't think anybody would care. So do I care if it broadens? No, not really. So I think like you just said, we talk a lot about strength of schedule. I think these guys need to start talking a lot about strength of schedule. I think the commissioner does for sure. So this is an interesting theory that he has. Do I think it will work? No.
Everyone's gonna be like, you have SEC bias. Yes, we do. Because you know what? When you look at the teams that we have, South Carolina, Ole Miss, Bama, these teams that did get left out, even Vandy had a fantastic year. I mean, from top to bottom, it is strong. Now, the top 3 to 4 Big Ten teams are incredibly strong, but after that, you kind of lose momentum. Same with the ACC, the top 2, 3, 4 teams very strong, and then the rest you kind of lose momentum. So I I don't love this proposal. They are holding a conference call next week to discuss it with the ACC, and this would be just with them. The SEC and the Big Ten do not have to follow suit. Maybe the Big 12 wants to follow suit. This could maybe help them out a little bit, but this is the last guaranteed year under the 12-team format before possible expansion. So any major changes could be tested in this upcoming season or held for a potential 14 to 16 playoff schedule in 2026. So we will see what happens. What do you think about this idea coming out of the ACC? Do you love it? Would you love it to be implemented in the SEC or the Big Ten across the board? Or do you think it's silly? I think it's silly. Molly thinks it's silly.
So stupid. I'm actually going to be at that meeting next week. I'm
Yeah, you're gonna call in. All right, guys. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Let us know what you think. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.